All right, home stretch, last video of the buyer's class. The rest of these slides are kind of things that were kind of one-off, so this will just be kind of cleaning everything up, but there are some special considerations here. First one is kind of hanger on for the process, which is what's next, what's after closing. Obviously you're going to be moving, so yay, congratulations, and I'm sorry too, because moving does suck. But planning it well is key, and getting everything done ahead of time, if you can, is key. Here are some things that might be happening after closing as well. You could be having a post-closing occupancy where your seller is renting back the home from you and searching for their new home. You could be doing some escrow repairs, meaning that those repairs survive closing and they're going to be completed and then paid for by title, by those proceeds they're holding in escrow. You might have a considerable amount of things that you did not get done from your inspection objection that didn't make it onto the resolution that you need help with because you're moving in. And so we've got great vendors for that kind of stuff and contractors. Feel free to reach out. And then if you're having a housewarming, let us know. We'll come by and bring some food and drink. And just as a heads up, moving is a pain, but it's totally worth it. So don't say we didn't warn you. All right, and then finding a stellar team, I think this is really, really important. So I think you should do this before you actually start your search, because if you start your search with multiple agents or multiple lenders in consideration, it can lead to an awkward situation where, well, quite frankly, we want to know who we're working with, and I think, you do too. So using a realtor, with so many tools and apps available, what's the benefit? This is kind of a breakdown of the responsibilities of different tasks throughout the entire home buying process. The initial browsing is still on you. We're going to help you to set up the search and help you to refine the search, but we need to learn your preferences, and that's kind of the best way to do it, is for you to kind of go through and tell us, I like this one, I don't like this one. And then when we're in the houses too, really, that's the next step, showing winners. We do that together, and we want you to be super candid, because you're never going to hurt our feelings, but you really do help us dial in your search. Then the research and comparative market analysis is on us. Once you've found a property that you really like, again, that's really trying to figure out the value, and as well as what's important to the seller. And then together with that information, we will go through and build an offer that you're comfortable with and make sure that you understand every part of it. Then, once we go under contract, dropping off the earnest money is something that you would do, and you would order the inspection, but we do have inspectors ready for you, and recommendations will be sent. Then negotiating the inspection is something that we do for you, and you just tell us exactly what it is that you want to be fixed, and we'll do everything in our power to get every bit of that fixed, plus anything you might have not considered. And then we will also negotiate the appraisal for you. And those are the two areas where you can really save the most money. We're talking, thousands of dollars. And then the closing we would do together. So just keep in mind that when you're using an agent, it really should be giving you peace of mind, and it should be saving you time and money. If it's not doing those things, consider if you're working with the right person. And they should guide the process. You should always be in control of the decisions. Here's some other reasons to use an agent. We do take care of the paperwork, of which there is a lot. Having a lot of experience helps us to navigate any situation that you might come across, and again, can save you from pitfalls of losing a lot of money or buying something that is not a good investment. The negotiation piece is absolutely key. We are trained in negotiation tactics specifically to save you money or earn you money. Market information, that basically just says that we have all the right tools to do the research necessary, as well as the market information and experience together. That's the part where, I'm a Colorado native, and again, I said a generalist, meaning that I know a lot of neighborhoods well, and none of them perfectly. So when someone comes to town and wants to know, I kind of like this, I kind of like that, I need to be close to this, I'm going to be able to steer them in the right direction for sure. And then value, specifically helping you figure out exactly what it's worth, so you don't overpay. Or if you do, you know exactly what the plan is, and that was a part of your plan. And finally, errors and omissions insurance, or just insurance in general. There's a lot of ways that this whole process can go sideways, and having an agent there really helps to keep you from that exposure of making a bad investment or having a bad experience. And finally, the seller pays our commission as buyer's agents. So we do have a small transaction fee, but for the most part, the entire commission that we're paid is paid by the seller. So even if it's a for sale by owner, we've often been able to negotiate those commissions so that the buyer doesn't pay it at all. So if it's free to you and you get all those benefits, why not? Here are the key qualities that I think you should look for in a team member, specifically a real estate agent to represent you. I think you should trust them, number one. It's really just the basis of any good relationship and especially a working partnership. Number two is communication. Things really do move quickly in our marketplace, so you want someone who's going to be able to communicate clearly and effectively with you, but also in a timely manner. And then three, knowledge. Knowledge and expertise, I think, go hand in hand. But the knowledge to not only help you deal with the things that you're dealing with, but also to educate you on what might be coming up. So if you got all the way through to this point, then you know that we're all about knowledge and education, and good on you. All right, next up, you can go ahead and check out our referrals and reviews on the Impact Group. You can look at Brandon Griffin too on Zillow, Yelp, Google, Facebook, anywhere. And this is all about being a team. So you and your agent need to work together. I think this image is awesome. That means, and actually with your lender too. So getting documents and signatures on time, keeping all the communication open and honest, full disclosure, maintain trust, right? So if things are not going well, you need to talk about it. And if you do that, you're gonna have a good experience, I promise. Some pro tips on new construction. So with new construction, there's some things you need to know. Pricing, it's not what you see is what you get. Typically they'll give you the model home pictures and the base price, and the two don't go together. So expect to pay closer to 50, 60, 70, 80, 100 more than what you're looking at. And the best way to ask for the right price, to get the right price, is to walk in there and ask for a spec or inventory home where most of the choices have already been made. The contracts that builders use are the only ones in Colorado that are not state approved. They're not fill in the blanks. They're not rewritten every year to protect consumers. They are written by a team of lawyers to protect the builder. And they look very intimidating as such. Now, the bigger builders that have a reputation, have been around for a while, they're not out to screw anybody. Even though their contracts are really scary sounding and they move all liability off of the builder onto the buyer, a lot of times it's not as bad as it seems. But just know to expect that. We used to be able to go in there and change things for them, but in a seller's marketplace, if you don't agree with their contract terms, they will just move on to the next person who will. Also, the earnest money is typically $10,000. Know this. It's typically hard 72 hours after you go sign the documentation, because that's one of the biggest things is when you go build new, you really want to make sure that you know that's what you want to do. I mean, you should be able to pick all your options, so a lot of times you don't second guess it, but I would not maintain a search after you put down that $10,000 earnest money. Work with the builder at that point. You're pretty committed. You have a certificate of occupancy versus an inspection. A salesperson in the office is going to tell you that their certificate of occupancy from the city and county is going to be better than an inspection, and that is not true. It is all health and safety. We have a story about a home that was built where it passed its CO, but the registers for all the HVAC were right in the middle of the hallway rather than tucked up against the wall where they should have been, because it was safe, but it wasn't right. So I think you should always get a third-party inspector in there. Totally worth that money. And then finally, timelines and guarantees. If they say it's going to take a certain amount of time, tack 3 months on. At least in our marketplace right now in Colorado, with the labor shortages and weather, it's I've seen very, very few be completed on time. Many are a month delayed, many all the way up to 3 months delayed. So have a plan B for your occupancy, and you'll do just fine. Now, the last thing to know about building, there's no difference in the price from the builder whether you use an agent or not. So the salesperson would like to tell you that you don't need an agent, and the truth is you don't. You can go it alone. But if you have an agent, even though we can't change the contract for you, we can be someone in your corner to guide you through every step of the process to help you make the right decisions. the ones that will wind up with the best outcome. So yeah, definitely let the builder know before you go and sign up or do anything that you want to use an agent. Some of them might require that the agent be there with you. So that's it for the builders. Pro tips for competitive bidding. All right, remember when you're bidding in a bidding war, know when to fold. Don't just bid to win. Just don't. Know your options. Is the property really the one? Your agent should really be the one telling you, is this a unique property that you're never going to come across again, or have I seen 3 the ones this month? If the latter is true, then don't go crazy, for sure. Don't fall in love. Stick to hopeful optimism. If you must overpay, ultimately it's just time, right? In an appreciating market. Now, if you're in a stagnant market or prices are going down, then overpaying has a much more serious burden. Price isn't everything. When it comes to a bidding war, successful agents know that much of it is psychological and relational. So price is big, that's why it's in all caps, but the financing terms, the timeline, the inclusions and exclusions we talked a little bit about before when we were putting an offer together, whether or not you have to sell a home, that contingency portion, that's really, really important. The way that you present all of this in your offer, including your qualification letter and your offer, and even the body of the email in which you send it. Like, we do many things just to really create this easy button for the seller and their agent to just hit, and we'll see you at closing, right? All of that matters. And the reputation, right? So working with an agent that has been in the marketplace for a while is working for, you know, a brokerage that has a good reputation, and this is especially true when it comes to lenders. There's actually a lot of lenders out there with really poor reputations, and it might shock you to know who those are. They're some of the biggest banks known. So talk to your agent about which ones have good reputations and bad reputations, and then if you are working with one of the ones that isn't perceived so well in our industry, definitely allow your agent to have a conversation that's open and honest with your loan originator, and because a good loan originator could turn a bad company around, so, and make for a good transaction at least. And then you have additional provisions. That's a section of the contract where you can basically write in whatever you want, make little changes, and so that is the section where we will basically use things to our tactical advantage to make you more competitive, such as like as-is provisions, appraisal guarantees, escalation clauses. And right now it's not super competitive, which is great, but when it is, your agent will help you to figure out which one of these would have the most weight, which one is, you know, most comfortable for your specific situation. And just know that Colorado's laws are very heavily slanted towards buyers' rights. So knowing how to use the contracts to your advantage is a huge thing. All right, and then love letters. This is the last thing that can make you more competitive, which is basically with an offer, you're just a name and a number on a piece of paper. And a seller, especially a seller that's been there for a while or that has taken great care of the home, they care about who it goes to. So sometimes expressing who you are and why you want the home and how you're going to care for it really goes a long way. So with love letters, finding common interests, you know, do you share a love for something specific? Tell them about who you are and your hopes and dreams, you know, pledge your care for the home, and praise their choices and commit to loving it as they did, and add a picture, you know, a little picture of yourself and your loved one or your family or your pets or anything. Finally, last but not least, wealth building. This is just a little teaser of another class that we teach. But you can use your equity, basically because you've got other people's money, leverage, making you money through the house, and then you can pull that out and you can use that. So there's a lot of stuff that you can do. Some of the stuff that we teach specifically is house hacking, which means you can jumpstart your portfolio by having someone basically subsidize your mortgage by living with you. And then you might be able to move out and purchase your next place sooner, or, you know, build up that portfolio. But really, a great team, lender and realtor, are going to be the ones that really help you figure out exactly what you're capable of and how to meet your ultimate goals. That's it for the buyer's class. Thank you guys.